Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This for UFC London. This episode and all episodes of the Dogger Pass podcast are brought to you by Coolbet. Use promo code Dogger Pass when making a new account to get a match up to $200 on your first deposit. Cody, right before we got in here, we were just like, yeah, it kind of seems a little bit tricky this week. I like three or four dogs. Haven't really committed to a whole bunch of them completely yet. We know in London, I mean, we were breaking down like Cage Warriors over on the Patreon and stuff. Like, there's some dodgy decisions in the afternoon in jolly old London. So it'll be an interesting card. Initial thoughts from you there.
Yeah, listen, it's a fight night card. It's not a pay-per-view, so as such, you're going to get couple debuting fighters, some fighters that you don't know what their takedown defense is like. This fighter probably wins if they don't get taken down. Let's watch a fight the last time they got taken down, and there just isn't. In fact, you watch 6 fights worth of footage, and not even one of the opponents attempted to take down. So there's a little bit of unknowns that we're jumping into, but as you mentioned, Paul, it's an afternoon card. It's in England. You and I are going to be breaking down all the regional stuff over on the Patreon, link in the description. But again, you've got a Friday afternoon Cage Warriors, then you've got a Friday night BKFC, then you've got a Saturday morning UFC, and a Saturday night LFA, and then a Sunday morning One Championship. We're just going to pick and choose the best of the best throughout the entire weekend and put those together for our parlays. But of course, this is a UFC preview show. We're breaking down all of the fights, and we're going to give you our best leans to the best of our knowledge.
100%. All right, his number may have moved, but like 2 hours ago at the very least, when I finalized the boards and sent them over to Jared, it's been fluctuating a lot because it makes a lot of sense that it's been fluctuating a lot. We got Sean Brady taking on Leon Rocky Edwards in the main event of UFC London. As of like 2 hours before recording here, it got up to minus 175, Sean Brady, with the comeback on Leon Edwards being plus 148. I will say, full disclosure, and it's cost me money in some spots. Probably just straight up passed in a bunch of other spots as well over the years. But I've never really been a Sean Brady guy. I kind of just see like a short, stocky wrestler. Definitely has, strength, and he's a bit of a jack of all trades for sure. But I've never really seen him being like super, super elite at any single trait. Wrestling is good, but not elite. Striking is looked very, very improved last time out, particularly early against Gilbert Burns. Cardio over the course of 5 rounds, I have some questions about it. And lining up to bet him as a minus, it seems like the market's probably settling more around like minus 160, minus 155 or so right now. But we'll see. You know how these things go over the course of the week. Maybe late in the week it'll be even more for Leon Edwards. But I don't know. You can look at the amount of fights and all of the fights that Leon Edwards has been in over the years against top credentialed wrestlers who a lot of times struggled to take him down, or at least they had to work really hard and they had to utilize all of that cardio right up till the final bell. This guy is not, it's not like you can just go out there and just, take him down at will, hold him down, and that's that. I like Leon, home crowd. I know he's from like Birmingham, so it's like 3 or 4 hours
Yeah,
north,
yeah.
but
Still.
it's still, I mean, there's going to be more Leon Edwards fans in the crowd than Sean Brady from Philadelphia. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, it's like unless Sean puts on an absolute clinic of a performance, which I would say the first 3 rounds were definitely a clinic performance for the most part for Sean Brady, but he still got hit a few times. Um, Gilbert was able to get back up. Like all of these things lead me to believe that it would make me uncomfortable to lay chalk. It's a dogger pass for me in the main event. What about you?
Yeah, same thing. I got Leon Edwards. To be honest with you, can't quite figure out, let's say, why Sean Brady's the favorite to begin with. I mean, you mentioned Leon Edwards. He's a former champion. He's at home, per se, with a hot crowd that's going to be in his favor. He's got all the back class. He's fought all the best guys in the division. And Sean Brady, meanwhile, this is the biggest fight of his career. It's the biggest fight of his life. Who is Sean Brady's best career victory, right? It would probably have to be Gilbert Burns. You would have to say Gilbert Burns is the best guy he's ever beaten. He beat Gilbert Burns, who's 38 years old at the time and on a two-fight losing streak. So he didn't fight prime Gilbert Burns. He fought a 38-year-old version of him on a two-fight losing streak, now on a three-fight losing streak, and that's his best career victory. The Kelvin Gastelum fight's a weird one. Gastelum fought 12 straight fights at 185, dropped down to 170 once, talked about how sick it made him, performed poorly against Sean Brady, and then has since moved back up to 185. Those are his two biggest wins. Maybe Michael Chiesa, maybe Jake Matthews. Flip side to that, you got a Leon Edwards with two quality victories over Kamaru Usman, a win over Colby Covington. A guy that's kind of fought in the upper echelon of the division. And again, not 33 years old. He's probably not nearing his physical prime, but he's not far removed from it, if removed from it at all. So I do believe you're going to get a really good version of him. Okay, then we talk about Sean Brady. I agree, like you, I've never really been a Sean Brady guy. Like I like him. I like that he gets these fights to the ground and can out-grapple opponents. I think his jiu-jitsu is amongst the best in the division, but he doesn't enjoy getting, nobody enjoys getting hit. He doesn't wear damage all that well. And you go back to his debut against Court McGee. We load up on him. A fan of the show at the time reached out to us. He's like, I'm buddies with this guy, BJJ black belt, undefeated record. He's going to smoke Court McGee. The first two rounds, he's smoking Court McGee. The third round, he gasses. Court McGee landed 50 plus significant strikes on him in the third round. And in my opinion, won the third round over Sean Brady. One judge gave it to him, but all the same, this is Court McGee. But oh well, it's his UFC debut. Since then, no one's ever really hurt him. No one's ever won a round off him and forced to make adjustments. No one's ever put him in a bad spot, put a beating on him, and really compounded damage. It's been him beating Ishmael Nordiev, Christian Aguilera, Jake Matthews, Michael Chiesa. Those guys didn't really present any pushback. Then he runs into Bilal Muhammad. Now he goes 0 for 5 in takedowns against Bilal Muhammad. This is key for two reasons. One, everybody hates Bilal. Not everybody, I like him, but most people hate Bilal Muhammad and his style because 11 of his last 12 fights have gone to decision. The one time Bilal Muhammad looked like an absolute world beater was fighting Sean Brady. Pillow hands Bilal Muhammad absolutely puts a beating on this guy. Now, it's also important to note that Sean Brady, of course, his path to victory on beating Leon Edwards is out wrestling him. And people keep saying, well, Bilal just did it. Okay, well, there's levels to this. Sean Brady went 0 for 5 in takedowns against Bilal. He never even got a whiff. Meanwhile, Leon Edwards took Bilal down. He took his back. And honestly, gave him a good go. That's a 48-47 decision that he loses to Bilal Muhammad. 3 rounds to 2. Gives an excellent account of himself. If Sean can't get these takedowns, he's forced to stand, he loses. If he does get these takedowns and Leon Edwards gets up and causes him to work, Leon wins this fight. Dog money, 5 rounds. Leon Edwards, back class, better level of experience, better skill set. And people are just looking, oh, wow, Bilal took him down 9 times and beat him up. Watch the fight. Ultra competitive. The kind of fight you could have won if a couple things go differently. But unfortunately, it's the fight game. You've got one night to perform, and Leon Edwards was just a tad behind Bilal Muhammad that night. I truly think that he goes out there and gives an excellent account of himself, highly motivated to get back in the win column and keep the good times going for himself. I really do think that this is solid dog money here in Leon Edwards. So when you talk about why is the number moving in Sean Brady's favor, couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. But I do expect it to come down a little bit come fight time.
Yeah, I don't even know these days. Sometimes like I said the same thing about like Cannonier against G-Rod, and he went off as a bigger favorite later in the week. So um we're not really controlling these markets necessarily anymore. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for the week to play out because I figure I'll be able to snipe at least the plus 135s that are hanging around at this present moment at some point. And it may be even better. It's like Rob Font wow, a few weeks ago, whatever. That number went down to like plus 135, plus 140 for a long time, and then got right all the way back up to plus 175 right before they started fighting. So the markets are kind of crazy in that respect recently. But yeah, I'll keep taking those late. I'll take the dogs late on Saturday I guess in the afternoon on Saturday, considering this is in London. If I have to wait, I'm more than patient enough to try to get the best number. But yeah, the last thing I will say is that like if you worry about like Brady I feel like has to fight like the perfect game plan here to beat Leon Edwards. Like he needs those takedowns, he needs control time. It's like Bilal got 9 takedowns last time out, but that means that Leon was getting back up, right? Like that causes you to have to work. That causes you to drain your gas tank. And over the course of 5 rounds, I know he passed the test against Gilbert, but it's like, and the stats won't tell you that he really did. Like the numbers look fine, but it's kind of because like Gilbert wasn't doing all that much. I think what really kind of comes down to is that he basically he's just his body language didn't look great. And he wasn't really shooting nearly as many takedowns. He almost kind of like I don't know if I can, you know, fight that type of fight. He's gonna need to fight that type of fight, in my opinion, against Leon Edwards.
Well,
But yeah, you give him a little bit of jet lag. Give him a little bit of jet lag flying over to the UK, fighting in the middle of the afternoon. Everything can be thrown off a little bit. So it's like even more advantages for Leon. So we'll
yeah.
see what happens on Saturday. You were gonna say something?
Yeah, well, what I will say is like the last time he fought Kamaru Usman goes 5 for 14 on takedowns with just 5 minutes of control time over 25 minutes. When he fought Colby Covington goes 2 for 10 on takedowns
Yep.
with 5 minutes of control time. When he fought Bilal, yeah, Bilal takes him down 9 times, like 17 attempts, and has 12 minutes of control time. But Leon went 2 for 2 on his takedowns over Bilal and had 7 minutes of his own. So I think when you look at who are the best wrestlers of the division, I think you would say maybe Colby's starting to get a little bit old. But Colby Kamaru and Bilal Muhammad. And he's fought those three guys and accounted himself quite well each time. Now he's getting Sean Brady, whose lone path to victory is get the fight to the ground. It's a lesser threat, I think, and especially in a hot crowd, live crowd looking for damage. So what? You hold him up against the cage. So what? You get a few takedowns. When he gets up and starts popping your head back, jarring your head back, who hits harder, Leon Edwards or Bilal Muhammad? Bilal Muhammad put a beating on this guy. Landed 80 significant strikes through 2 rounds, not even 2 rounds, just at will. So I think there's a path to victory for Leon to maybe skirt by decision, but I think there's an absolute prop out there where he just knocks out Sean Brady. I think it's absolutely possible.
Ooh. Cody talking lump. Now you're speaking my language. I didn't even look
Listen,
at
listen,
I didn't even looked
anybody
at the props this week, bro.
anybody
But
who's been knocked out by Bilal Muhammad could, in theory, get knocked out by just about everybody. And that wasn't Bilal Muhammad. I took you down. I got on top of you. I broke your will and I ground and pounded you. He entirely did it standing up, right? So, yeah, Leon Edwards, who once upon a time lopsided a kick on Kamaru Usman's head. Sharp jab, nice right hand. Again, with Sean Brady, and I hate discrediting these guys because I do like Sean, not on a betting standpoint, but as a person, as a style, it's all good. But Gilbert Burns, a little over the hill. Currently ranked, I think, top 12, so not a top 10 guy at welterweight. Kelvin Gastelum is ranked in the top 30 at middleweight. Bilal Muhammad, of course, is the champion. He got smoked in that fight. Michael Chiesa is not ranked. Jake Matthews is not ranked. So this is a massive step up for him, and he's the betting favorite in the other guy's not hometown, um, not backyard. But you know what I'm saying. Like in the other guys, his countrymen are all going to be there to see him. It'd be no different than a fight night in Vancouver, but the guys from PEI, no one's going to care about it. They support their own. So he's going to have that in his favor. And like you said, wonky UK judging. Hopefully, it's going to favor the British guy over the American. People hate Americans right now, right? So if they're going to screw them over a decision, maybe they're going to do it on this fight night. When I say people, I don't mean myself. Love Americans. I just mean if I can use that political side of things to cash myself a greasy ticket, I'm not above it, Paul Shaughnessy.
yeah. And Leon by knockout is as high as like plus 700 early in the week here. There has been some action at one of the sharper books. So
I
that means other people are going to move their numbers as well. That's just how this goes. But don't threaten me with a good time, Cody. Um, that plus 700 would probably make my ticket this week. Moving on down, we've got Jan Blachowicz taking on Carlos Ulberg. Ulberg, a minus 270 favorite. Jan can be had for plus 235. Jan's 42, coming off of a 1.5 year layoff.
Almost two, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 1.5. I think it was like July of like 2020, whatever.
July 20.
Either way, I don't have the exact date in front
Yeah,
of me,
yeah, you're
but
right.
he's coming off of a split loss to Ankalaev, split draw to the current champ, or sorry, split draw to the current champ Ankalaev, split decision loss to Alex Pereira. In fairness, the split draw against Ankalaev was Pretty ridiculous. That was just a bad scorecard. You go back and watch that fight, and you're like, yeah, well, that's not factual. But that the big point of all of that is that he's just hanging out with the
The best
top
guys.
of the division. Historically, been incredibly hard to knock out. Guy is cast iron. There is no doubt that there's a massive speed disparity, technique in terms of like what type of tools are in play. And yeah, Ulberg has all of the steam, all of the confidence right now, but I'm tempted to back Jan here, man. The number kind of keeps growing, so I don't have to make my decision, Cody. But it's like nobody. I think the UFC's done a great job of protecting Carlos Ulberg from anybody who can take him down. Like
Fair.
I'm no doubt in my mind. It's like body language, all of that stuff. It's like that's how Jan kind of seems to lose a lot of these later rounds in fights. He's still landing pretty well in a lot of them. But it's just like he just looks so tired and sluggish and lazy. And it's, if it's a close round and one guy's looking like that, the other guy's looking better, it's different. But like that Ulberg fight versus against
Volkan.
Volkan Oezdemir was like pretty darn competitive. Like Ulberg won cleanly, won all three rounds, I believe. But it's like he was getting clipped a few times. Oezdemir was able to get to his hips, didn't really commit fully to getting a takedown. I don't know. I feel like a vet lesson could be in play here. For me, it's dog or pass on this co-main event. What about you?
Yeah, super tempting. I don't think I'm going to personally get there, but I agree with everything you're saying. There's a lot of good dog money there on Jan. And where does Jan shine against these straight up kickboxers that come over to MMA? I mean, his best career victory is over Israel Adesanya, a training partner of Carlos Ulberg. That time that Izzy decided to move up to 205 because he gave him that veteran lesson. He's bigger, he's more compact. BJJ black belt, he's able to take Israel Adesanya down. It didn't quite work against Alex Pereira, loses a split decision, but it damn near worked. And to be honest, you watch that fight back, and had they said Jan Blachowicz won the fight, you couldn't have screamed robbery. You couldn't have whined about it. It's a very, very close fight. So at his best, yeah, he definitely has tools that we're really not sure if Ulberg's equipped to deal with. It's the 2 year, year and a half long layoff. It's the 42 years old. It's to me, it's everything you're saying about him being slow. I think that this version of him is just going to be even slower. If it was a 5 round fight, it's possible that he takes 2 rounds to kind of get a rhythm going and then breaks Ulberg late. But in a 3 round scenario, he's going to get off to a slow start. He's probably going to give up the first round simply just on speed. Second and third round, maybe he tries to get something going, but he'd be fighting an uphill battle. When you look at Ankalaev, as you said, he lost the fight. Well, why did he end up with the split draw? Because he did a lot of damage with the leg kicks. And Ulberg has
Mhm.
this style where he moves a lot and he stands upwards. But Volkan tried to exploit that. Volkan went 28 for 28 on leg kicks. Never missed a single one. 28 straight. And Ulberg's not moving any differently at the end of the third round than he is in the first. He's got solid cardio for a big man, very agile on his feet, and even though he's not checking any of these kicks, he takes them all no problem. That's probably a product of being at City Kickboxing and being a training partner with Israel Adesanya and all these great kickboxers, himself having, a somewhat credible kickboxing career before transitioning over to MMA, is that he can take the kicks. So if Jan comes out here and like Volkan, why did Volkan lose? Volkan's going leg kick, leg kick, leg kick, and he's getting countered with punch to the face, punch to the face, punch to the face. So the round ends. The numbers are very close in all 3 rounds, but the damage to the leg you don't see. It's not visible. He's not limping. He's not moving any differently. The punches that Ulberg's doing to the face, he's got him busted up. He's got him bleeding. That visualization is damage, and that's what they're scoring nowadays. But Paul, my man, you make these excellent points about Ulberg's not been tested in this realm. Nobody's shooting takedowns on him. Kennedy shot one, Fabio shot zero, Tufan shot zero, Nicolay shot zero, Eeyore shot one, Dawung Jung shot two, Menefield shot zero, Volkan shot two. Nobody has ever shot more than 2 takedowns on him in a fight before. So even if Jan's not getting takedowns, but he can get to the hips, get him up against the cage, and cause him to really just carry his weight, clinch control him, let's say, then it's entirely possible that Ulberg will gas out. The reason his cardio looks so good is he's kickboxing the whole time, and that's something he's done his entire career. When you have make these guys grapple, that's when they really start to slow down. So it's all on this table. Now, why didn't I get to it personally? Tinfoil hat theory. I just think Jan's not washed, but like this is going to be a bad version of him. And the reason I say that is you go back and you watch when he lost to Glover Teixeira a couple years back. Glover gets him down. He goes to a neck crank. He grabs the neck crank, and immediately there's like a big motion from Jan, kind of like he's hurt in the neck. As soon as Glover uses that neck crank, opens up the guard, takes his back, grabs the choke. Before he's even palm to palm, before he even has his choke locked in, Jan taps out. He had a neck injury. Now, I said it at the time. This guy's dealing with a neck injury. People didn't believe it. But he pulls out of a fight versus Alexander Rakic right after that with a neck injury. Then he fights Rakic. He loses the first round. Sorry, he maybe wins the first round, loses the second round. Third round, Rakic hurts himself. He didn't look good. Against Ankalaev, against Pereira, he gets through those fights. But now he pulls out of another match with Rakic with a shoulder injury. There's a year and a half long layoff. He's 42 years old coming back. The UFC can't really use this guy anymore. They can really use Ulberg. A win over Jan Blachowicz allows them to just use many, many good possible options, lucrative options for Ulberg. He now becomes a solidified contender. So
Hmm.
I think they're trying to use Jan and his status to get him that. What you're going to see is Jan was already slow. Expect an even slower version of him. Expect those takedowns to just be a little bit labored and a little bit lethargic, and him to just, not quite cut off the ring as much as he used to. Big cage to deal with. So I ended up taking Ulberg, but what we can agree on is this is a bad price tag for the money line if you're a Carlos Ulberg guy. As much as I think knocking out Jan would be one hell of a task, and I would say Ulberg by decision, it's 42, and Ulberg's a big boy who hits quite hard, who's knocked out a lot of guys pretty quickly. So I'm not certain I'll get to a prop for this one, but the pick is going to be Carlos Ulberg for me.
Yeah, knocking out Jan would be, I
It'd
mean,
be a hell of a task.
welcome to the yeah. You're almost like the contender outside of like the rematch of. I imagine they're running a rematch between Ankle Live and Pereira, but I haven't seen any confirmation on that. But yeah, if you knock him out, then yeah, everyone's shouting your name from the heavens. All right, let's move on. We've got Gunnar Nelson taking on Kevin Holland. Gunnar Nelson, a minus 125 favorite at Coolbet. Kevin Holland could be had for plus 108. I don't think you could find two guys on the roster that are more different.
No,
Um,
the same. The same. Well, Kevin's trying to be different, but go on. I got a theory.
more different from each other.
Right.
One guy fights all the time. Kevin Holland's got like 15 fights in the last like 3 years or something like that. Super, super active. Just kind of some and plenty of fights are like doesn't really follow a very wise, what would seem like a wise game plan in his fights. You know, deciding not to really wrestle with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Pretty regrettable type of decision for him.
Glad
We were
enough.
on Wonderboy in that fight, so we loved
Ugh.
it. But like, just standing there and kickboxing to try to prove some sort of point seemed, unwise. The guy fights so often, though. It's just like he he's fighting. Just he collects the paychecks, fight after fight after fight after fight. It's a volume game. It's a volume game for Kevin Holland, and I respect that. I respect that. Gunnar, on the other hand, basically never fights. Fights like maybe once a year. Um, the skills seem like for a guy who used to be kind of like a somebody who people thought would be a future title challenger. That's kind of went to the wayside. Now he's 36 years old, but he's super smart. If you go
Mm.
back, you watch any of his fights, he doesn't play around for too long. He usually goes to what is the path of least resistance very, very quickly. He can sub you if he gets you to the ground and he gets an advantage, but he is more than happy like he did against the Japanese guy. What was the Japanese guy's name? Takashi Sato. It's like he attempted a few, but he's just like basically just rode that fight out. He's just like, this is easy. I can just get my win bonus this way. It's a very, very interesting matchup in a lot of respects there. And I was like looking on Gunner's Instagram. He's down your neck of the woods, down in the Croatia, I believe. Training with some like the FEN champion or whatever. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's training with him, and it's just like you look at it and you're like, Gunner's smart. Like it's just like he's fighting a long, rangy, like kickboxer type of guy. That's who he's doing his sparring training with. It's just like Gunner, he's very like he's so quiet and stoic. You don't really know what he's ever up to, but I'm leaning towards Gunnar here, and for no real good reason. I do see that like the market is coming in on Kevin Holland. I understand the reasons why people would bet Holland, but I'm gonna bet on the brains rather than the brawn here. What about you? I'm a bet maybe a stretch, but I'm
Right.
picking Gunnar to get takedowns, hold control, and have a very like probably an unentertaining fight all around, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, to me, these guys are actually the two case studies for the effectiveness of weight cutting in MMA. Gunnar Nelson absolutely could be a world champion. Well, he's got all of the skills of a world champion. The one thing is Gunnar's so smart, as Paul mentioned, is that he's too smart for his own good. And what he realizes is that weight cutting is really, really bad for you. So he just does not, he doesn't cut any weight. And that's something that he's done his entire career. So his technique can beat you sometimes, but sometimes he's taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio, twice his size, possibly two weight classes up on him, who pokes him in the eye twice and then clobbers him. As good as he is, and damn, this guy's good. He's a 55er in every sense of the word, but he will not cut any weight. Kevin Holland, meanwhile, Kevin Holland fights at 185. He does not cut any weight, and he's not that good at 185. When he comes down to 170, you see that already. It's like, okay, he is capable of giving the guys the problem. He's got length, he's got power. Even though his ground game really is the big hole in his game, he is still a BJJ black belt at the end of the day. The bottom line is that Kevin Holland has fought at 185 pounds, and Gunnar Nelson is a guy that could fight at 185. So, in many ways, you're going to see Kevin Holland be a lot bigger than Gunnar. You're going to see him be a lot rangier. I feel like he's going to have power, but Gunnar's just going to trip him up to the ground, whether it be a quick little single leg, whether it be a little ankle pick, whether it be a little inside trip. There's just going to be a scramble that's caused, and then Gunnar's going to be able to take him down. Once Gunnar does get him down, similar to a Takashi Sato, similar to many of these fights, is that when he does get you down, you're not going anywhere. Like he's very good at just maintaining position. This is a guy that kind of became well known because he beat Jeff Monson at the ADCCs, and Jeff Monson, a heavyweight on many, many, many steroids, is quite literally three times his size. But he's so positionally sound that he can get it. He'll maintain. Now the Takashi Sato fight, it's awful. It's awful, but he spends like 12 minutes on the guy's back. It's that if the choke's not there, he's not going to give it up to ground and pound. He's not going to give it up to do any of that. That's another flaw in his game. Not only does he not cut weight, the guy's such a good guy, he refuses to hurt you. I don't think he's knocked out anybody in what, since 2008? Let me just bring that up just for the sake of being accurate. He's not knocked out an opponent maybe ever. No, can't be ever. Yeah, he has not knocked out an opponent since 2008. He does not want to hurt you. When you look at his stats, he spends a lot of time on these guys, and there's no ground and pound. He just doesn't want to hurt you. He takes you down, waits for a submission to come up. He's not going to soften you up. He's not going to blast you with elbows. It reminds me of like Carlos Newton back in the day, like Carlos Newton's Kazushi Sakuraba. Like once he gets on top, he just wants to use the pure art of jiu-jitsu to defeat you. He's not looking to hurt you. So that kind of takes a little bit of his edge away. But there's no denying that Gunnar Nelson's career losses are Gilbert Burns, a former title challenger, Leon Edwards, a former world champion, Santiago Ponzinibbio, cheated, Damian Maia, a former world title challenger. Like, he only really loses to the best guys, and he's not cutting any weight. So I truly do believe that there is something there about him. I think that at some point he's going to trip up Kevin Holland to the ground, and we've just been seeing Holland time and time again. Once he gets taken down, it's no good for him. Marvin Vettori took him down 11 times, and the guy quite literally does not know how to wrestle at all. More lately, yeah, he's fighting middleweights like Rainer de Ryder and Roman Delites. But all the same, it's like those guys muscle him down. This won't be that. This will be quick little trip takedown. All of a sudden, you're on your back. All of a sudden, this guy's on top. Your length, that's your advantage standing. When you're on the ground, it's your disadvantage. You have too much length. Can't create enough space. Can't explode back up to your feet. And the second you belly down to try to go, this guy's backpacked on top of you, not giving you an inch to work with. So, yeah, it's an even money fight, but I honestly do think Gunnar Nelson could make this thing look relatively easy.
All right. On the same page there. We got Alexia Thainara taking on Molly Meatball McCann. Minus 185 for the newcomer Thainara. Molly could be had for plus 155. Thainara, 27 years old, 11-1. Only losses to Bruna Brazil many years ago by submission when she was 21. She has about a 5-inch reach advantage here. Seven-time national wrestling champion in Brazil, which kind of is a bit puzzling. And like the one thing I did worry about when I watched her Contender Series fight back, some of her fights were hard to find. Some of them were like so long ago that probably irrelevant. But like the Contender Series fight against Rose Conceição, she kind of just let her up multiple times, like 3 times. It was very weird. But like apparently they had trained a bunch together over the years, so it's like maybe she knew like this girl's guard is like dangerous for me. That would
Ro
be a that would be
Rose is
maybe.
4'7", so maybe what I was thinking when I watched it is maybe she's like, "Oh, get up, get up, so I can stand here and punch you
Okay.
in the face from range." But I could be wrong.
But yeah, I mean, the entries to the takedowns looked pretty darn good. She got subbed obviously by Bruna Brazil. The interesting thing is Bruna Brazil
Yes, yep.
is literally Molly's last opponent. And Bruna Brazil got the win there quite easily. It was a pretty big beatdown, actually. It was a kind of a absolute halt to any sort of hype train on Molly at this point. If there was still any sort of people still on the train, they got ejected. But I'm always looking for a reason to bet underdogs, but I kind of like the favorite here with the youth. Maybe with some length. I'm not entirely sure about like reach and everything like that, but it's really the entries to the takedowns were a lot better than what Bruno Brazil was entering with the takedowns on Molly, and those takedowns worked. So Molly, a lot of her fights is like a lot of her fights, frankly, it's just like how does she'll do the ones that people remember like the spinning back elbow or spinning back fist or whatever, but
Low
like
key.
most of her fights is like she's actually trying to lean on the wrestling, trying to take her opponents down. I don't think that's going to be an option in this matchup against Thainara. Give me the Brazilian. What's your take here?
Yeah, same thing. Like the price is not good, so initially I'm thinking just see if dot model it. Priscilla Cachoeira last week, Sam Hughes last week. Like, why do we not learn our lesson, man? Is like let's just see if dot model this thing every time. But no, yeah, I can't. It's the last fight in particular for Molly McCann. Like up until then, I could make excuses. She does have decent wrestling, relentless cardio. At her best, she can land well over 100 significant strikes. She throws crazy stuff like a spinning back elbow that in a chaotic, hectic fight might be able to land, and she's knocked out two opponents with it. So decent wrestling, good pace, good durability. No, durability is not very good. Her submission defense in particular. But what I'm saying is she's a go-getter. When she fights in front of her hometown crowd, it usually energizes her up. Now she goes on this little bit of a streak and she decides, I'm going to leave 125 and go down to 115. And I truly did believe that that would do wonders for her. She won her 115 debut against Diana Belbita, first round armbar. And then that last fight with Bruno Brazil, it's at 115 and it's in England. So, like, where was the juiced up Molly? Where was the this is the proper weight class for you? Like, even though she's an offensive, like you said, leans on her wrestling and she wants to get you to the ground and she's very active in BJJ tournaments. She loves competing in grappling. She wants to grapple. Yeah, there's some hectic spinning back elbows here and there, but at her best is when she takes you down. Getting armbarred from guard against Julia Stoliarenko, getting taken down and out grappled by Bruna Brazil, who to that point hadn't really shown much in the UFC. None of that bodes well. Like she's not getting any older, and it's a gym that's like, oh man, Nathan Fletcher and Patty Pimblett and Molly McCann. But does that really mean anything? Like I don't know. The UFC has to promote these people because they're trying to sell to that demographic, that market, the British market, the English market. So, yeah, I mean, I don't get that they've really tried to market Molly McCann, but that last fight in particular, it's like you're not making any improvements at this point. I really can't get behind you. Um, with Alexia Thainara, she's making her UFC debut against somebody that has 13 UFC fights. Like, it's not an easy task. It's women's MMA. It's 115 pounds. Like, I don't
Hmm.
want to pay a minus 200 or a minus 190 price tag on it. I really don't. But yeah, on the Contender Series, she looks very strong. Like, she looks like she's got very solid hips. So if Molly can't take her down, then they're forced to stand. And Molly's got a 62-inch reach. To put that into perspective for you, Rose Consao on from the Contender Series, she's 4'7". She has a 65-inch reach. She's 9 inches shorter than Molly
Thainara's
McCann.
got 67.
Yeah, it's not like she's got some huge reach on her herself, but it's a 5-inch reach advantage over Molly.
Significant.
So if Molly's not taking her down, right, then she's just gonna be the jab looked good, the leg kicks look
The
good.
leg kicks look like a weapon for her. That's what I picked out.
And if I'm betting, I always say this, if we're playing a video game and it's like build a character, especially what I want to bet on, if they're not just going to be outright Russian with a beard but no mustache, take you down repeatedly, what I really like is these solid takedown defense, which Thainara has, and then just stick to the basics, meat and potato with your striking. Jab, one of the most underutilized but very effective weapons. Low kicks, such an effective weapon. If you just stick her with the jab and stick her with the low kick and stuff takedowns, you're going to win this fight. And if for whatever reason she shoots a shitty takedown and you can reverse and you can get on top of her, if for whatever reason she gets sloppy, if for whatever reason you can catch her off balance or off guard and offensively take her down, even better. But in all scenarios, I feel like Thainara ends up winning the fight more often than not. So CF dot model always comes back to get me, but I'm gonna take Thainara as well.
Yeah, but Cody, how often is it when I sit here across from you, or not really across from you, on the same pay or on the same stream as you, and take a women's favorite? I feel like that cuts out the CF dot model in this situation. Um, I'm usually the one just saying CF dot model like probably like 70% of the time.
If we were having this conversation and Thainara was a minus 350 favorite, I
I think
think you
we
maybe
I
would take
doubt
Molly McCann, right?
everyone has a price, bro.
Yeah, of
Everyone
course,
everyone
of
has a price.
course.
Well, I can only do so much, but it's
Right.
not there yet. It's not there. So, we got to just, discuss based on where the number is right now. I think she's still fair at this price. I think she definitely wins like at least 60, yeah, like 2 out of 3. Maybe more, maybe less. It's an estimate. All right, we got Jordan Vucenic taking on Chris Duncan, minus 385 for Vucenic. How do I pronounce this? Vucenic,
The C was have like a ch on it. Vucenic.
Vucenic, Jordan Vucenic. And Chris Duncan can be out for plus 300. Vucenic is what, the second, third biggest favorite on the card, at least in terms of my thing. Cage Warriors standout, absolute beast. Gave Guram a real run for his money last time out. A lot of people are high on him. Guy seems to be like really committed to the game. He trains like twice a day, teaches like he's a full blown. He's the exact opposite of Gunnar Nelson. This guy is 100% committed to the martial arts. Who do you like in this fight?
Yeah, how yeah, tough one. Jordan Vucenic might be the second or third biggest favorite on the card, but he is the most tatted up guy on the card. And that means something because Sean Brady's in the main event, who's normally the most tatted up guy on the
Oh,
card.
that's a tough question. I guess because he's got a couple face tats.
He's got face
That's the
tats.
difference.
Yeah, and also it's like all black. Like there's not
Yeah.
a bunch of little tattoos within making an illustration or
I
something.
always wonder when
It's
people
just
have that all black,
all
like when
black.
they have that all come, like what was there before? You know?
I often wonder
Was
that
it
too.
something racist? Was it something like
Normally.
off-putting? Because like it looks kind of horrible. Like I
I think
feel
it's
like
a bit of a
something else was
trend
there,
too.
but you had to cover it. That's what I just assume that I'm like, you must have had something. Who knows what was in that? What type of skeletons are in that guy's closet? Like when I see like the full out blacked out
Yeah.
over the tattoo, I'm always like they couldn't even turn that into like a rose or something like that. Like,
Well, see, that's the
yeah.
thing. When I used to come back late night from the bar and there's nothing on TV, you'd put on like tattoo restoration, and they would just turn really bad tattoos into perfectly fine tattoos. Also, you could get tattoo removal, which I didn't think was a real thing like
I
five
don't
years
think that
ago. It's
really
like
works that
I,
well
I didn't
though.
think I didn't think so either, but I think the technology is like really coming along because now you watch it and it's like, oh damn. Or you'll see somebody that used to have a tattoo and it's not there anymore, and the pigmentation's still pretty normal in their skin. It's like, oh man, maybe this thing does work. I don't know if you got to do like 100 sessions or whatever it does, but I think you could go that route. But yeah, there's a whole lot of ink on this guy. terms of the fight, man, listen, this guy was legitimately the best Cage Warriors champ. This card's funny, right? It's Cage Warriors show on steroids, and we're gonna break
Hmm.
down a regular Cage Warriors show tomorrow. But Molly McCann is a former Cage Warriors champion. Jordan Vucenic is a former Cage Warriors champion. Nathaniel Wood and Morgan Charriere are both former Cage Warriors champion. Jai Herbert is a former Cage Warriors champion. Christian Leroy Duncan is a former Cage Warriors champion, and Caolan Loughran is a former Cage Warriors champion. Nathan Fletcher, of course, fought for the title but come up short. Loner Kavanagh, I'm sure they would have given him a 25 title
Yeah, he
fight, but
just
they
got
just
to the
fast
UFC
tracked.
too
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just all the best Cage Warriors guys really on this. And then when I
It's
talk
true.
about the best Cage Warriors guys, Jordan really was that. I mean, he lost to Paul Hughes, which he beat Paul Hughes. Got to put that in the factor. But Richie has when he was 8-0, Steve Mabel, Paul Hughes, Morgan Charriere. So Hughes obviously fighting for PFL now and a top guy over there. Morgan Charriere, uh, on this card, but a UFC veteran, fought Paul Hughes again. Fought Guram, who's on this card. So a lot of guys he's fought are going to be at the show, and it's going to be good old times. Thing is that he fought this Adrian Kepa, right? And he fights from 2024. He fights 7 straight years at 145 pounds. All of his best wins at 145, all of his losses at 145. Winning the Cage Warriors title at 145. Then he fights this Adrian Kepa, and he actually misses weight, comes in at 157.8. His opponent came out a little heavy as well, so they go through with it. He chokes him out in the first round, and then he fights. That's July 20th, 2024. He fights Guram August 3rd, 2024. So it's 2 weeks later. He made his UFC debut 2 weeks later in like Abu Dhabi or Dubai against Guram Kudalits and drops him in the first round.
Hmm.
Second and third round, the second round he starts off real well. He's winning the first 3 minutes of it. He gets taken down late, probably loses it 1-1. Third round, he gets taken down, he gets controlled. He actually takes Guram's back. He goes for the choke. He's a little high. Guram shakes him off, gets on top of him, and then is able to maintain it and loses. So again, we're splitting whiskers here. UFC debut, essentially up a weight class on less than 2 weeks' notice. You fought 2 weeks ago, then took this thing, left your home country, jumped on a plane, came down. There's a lot to like there. He's got power, he's got good grappling. The takedown defense obviously was a problem against Guram Kudalits, but given that he's got a full camp, he can really set himself in 155, fill out. I feel like you're going to get a good version of him. Chris Duncan, meanwhile, not like I don't like him, but I feel like this guy's got durability issues that are waiting to come out. When he fought on Contender Series against Vyacheslav Borshev, Borshev knocks him out, hurts him, knocks him out. Then he fights Charlie Campbell. Charlie Campbell's putting it on him. And then he comes back and he's able to knock Charlie Campbell out. But you can see where he doesn't wear punches or wear damage all that good. Against Omar Morales, 5 takedowns. Yanal Ashmus, 2 takedowns. Against Manuel Torres, Torres grapples him and chokes him out. And then that last fight against Balaji Oki's, I thought, winning. Balaji Oki takes him down. And then on the second takedown attempt, he's able to snare him up in a guillotine choke. I see this guy active on social media. He's at American Top Team. He's putting in quality work. Dustin Poirier uses him as a sparring partner a lot. Physically, he's in excellent shape. I don't like his durability. I don't like that this is a guy that's primarily a striker, realized I don't want to get hit, trying to grapple now. He's going to run into these tough guys like Jordan, who's got higher level European experience. In the UFC, he's fought lesser guys, but overall, I think he's as experienced. He's got better cardio. He hits a lot harder. You would really need to take him down and control him for 15 minutes. Guram didn't do it for 15 minutes, but big brother, this guy, bully him and take him down. And I just don't see Duncan doing that to Vucenic. So I got the former Cage Warriors champ to go out here and win his first UFC debut in proper style, or his first UFC fight in proper style.
All right, we got Morgan Charriere taking on Nathaniel Wood, minus 161 for Morgan, plus 135 for Wood. Who you got here?
You know what's funny? So we were talking about that Molly McCann fight earlier. It's like, well, I don't think Molly McCann wins. And it's like, well, what if the price was this? And it's like, yeah, I'd take Molly McCann. I kind of feel like that's the direction I'm going with this fight with Charriere. When I tape studied it originally, for whatever reason, my brain, I don't have dyslexia, but I had a dyslexic moment where I thought it was lines reversed. So I was like, yeah, I'm fading this guy's ass. I'm taking Morgan Charriere. And then when it like dawned on me, I'm like, ooh, Morgan Charriere is the favorite. Don't really like it nearly as much. Listen, I'm gonna have to drum this point every single time he fights. All of his fights are very close. This guy's been in more split decisions than absolutely anybody. You go right through his regional show career, even to now his time in the UFC. Split decision on some exhibition, That's one. He goes majority decision against Rustam. He goes majority decision against Soron Box. Split decision against Marco Kavanagh. Split decision against Lewis Monarch. Split decision against Jordan Vucenic. Majority decision against Paul Hughes. Split decision against Daniel Bazin. That guy, that's 2 years ago, and the guy's 7-3 regional show guy. That's seven. And of course, his fight with Chepe Mariscal in the UFC, another split decision that a lot of people thought he won. I remember being online, I got Chepe, but a lot of people online are like Chepe lost, and Morgan did a lot more damage. Chepe's wearing the damage on his face, but the judges ended up going with Chepe in that fight. And that's the problem with Morgan Charriere's game, is that even though he's got solid takedown defense, everything he does well. He can grapple well, he can strike well, good power, solid kickboxing, good durability on him. Cardio really not all that bad. An advanced generalist, but his output really isn't all that high. So there's a lot of times that there's scrambles, or you throw a three punch combination. He avoids the first two, but that third one really hits him. The longer you can dig into this guy, this not slowing down, but you can outwork him. Why has he been in 8 split or majority decisions? Because they're always close fights. Now, if they're going to give you him as the betting favorite, I really just don't want no part of that because I'm expecting a close fight. Nathaniel Wood's exactly that. This guy, 135 pounds, I thought he could be a world title contender, maybe even challenger, maybe not champion. But this guy was really good. He couldn't make 35 anymore. So he's moving up to 145, and it's been a work in progress, man. He's 5'6" with like a 69-inch reach. Like he's just really not that big for 145 pounds. But I mean, he's another advanced generalist. His grappling is top notch. His submission game, his offensive wrestling, his striking. The difference between these two guys is I don't think Nathaniel Wood's really all that durable. Whereas Morgan Charriere, he's very, very durable. So if you go punch for punch, Morgan probably beats him. But Nathaniel's just got way higher output. He's capable of going out there and hopefully landing 70, 80, 90, whereas Morgan's going to land 60. Mix in with Nathaniel Wood gets takedowns on high level guys all the time. He's really much a go getter. He's got solid 15 minutes in him. He's a guy that kind of the workman performance. He brings his lunchbox with him and he gives it everything he's got. Morgan seems maybe a little bit bigger than him, maybe even a little more talented than him, but he's a little more lackadaisical. And I think at the end of the day, Nathaniel Wood in front of a hometown crowd, his own people, I feel like he'll feed off that energy. He'll outwork him ever so slightly. Could be a split decision. If you like betting split decisions, I got one here for you because Morgan's
Mm-hmm.
always in these kind of fights. He got screwed against Chepe. He's not above getting screwed here in a close decision, if not just outright losing it. So, and this could be the PRP pick because it's not like I love Nathaniel Wood. I'm betting it based on price, but I think he could win it at least 50% of the time. And if my heads or tails, one of them pays plus money and the other one doesn't, I'm obviously just taking the one that plays plus money. So I'll take Nathaniel Wood here to get the job done in a very close squeaker of a fight,
And one of them's British, one of them's French,
just in case it
and
happens.
we're
Yeah.
in the UK. And one guy throws more. Like you can go through any sort of Morgan Charriere fight. He just doesn't. Yeah, the volume's just not there, and that's why he ends up in all these split decisions. He lands the cleaner, more damaging shots, maybe, but
Mm. He's talented.
um, he's definitely talented. It's just the output's just never been there for him. I don't know what the reason for that is. Is it a cardio worry, or is it a I don't know. I can't really say, but yeah, I mean, Wood will be the pick for me as well, but I'll be waiting for when the books open up the fight ends in split decision prop on this one. I will be adding that to the card, and then Wood split, because I'm dangerous like that. But yeah, I'm 100% on the same page with you. It's like I've never really been a Charriere guy. Just doesn't throw enough volume. And the very much a generalist. Like the striking is definitely his bread and butter. He'll mix in the odd takedown, but it's like I don't really see him dominating in any of those realms, to be perfectly honest. So if we're just on the feet, and one guy's throwing twice as much, give me that guy with dog money. That's really what it came down to me, for me as well. We got Jai Herbert taking on Chris Padilla, minus 123 for Jai. Padilla can be after plus 105. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal on Padilla is, but this guy went from just like mediocre at best to suddenly, holy crap. And he's going out there and winning some high profile fights. Prior to coming to the UFC, his big level fights on the regionals are Jason Gonzalez. I say that's high level because Jason Gonzalez went 1-3 in the UFC. So UFC veteran, he loses. That's the first UFC veteran he ever fought. He loses, he gets TKO'd. Then he fights Christian Aguilera. Christian Aguilera went 1-2 in the UFC and then got cut. He loses that. The third time was Gabe Green. That's the third UFC veteran he fought, who went 2-3 in the UFC, and he gets submitted in the first round. Nate Andrews was 0-2 in Bellator and 1-3 or 1-2 in PFL. He gets submitted in the second round. Like nothing about this guy. Every time he steps up to guys that could not cut it in the UFC, he loses most of the time by submission in the second round. Like he got signed to come in and get his ass kicked. He gets James Law on top. He's a plus 340 underdog. Not supposed to beat James Law on top. And it's a weird one. So he takes James Law on top down. Law top gets up, starts beating him up. He takes Law top down a second time. Law top gets up, resumes beating him up. He takes Law top down a third time. Law top gets up and beating him. Law top's got him doubled up in the significant strikes, and Law top's hurt him. He's stinging him. And it's not even a third takedown. It's Law top throws a high kick and slips. And as he tries to get back up, Padilla just whoa, right on the neck like a dog on a bone and chokes him out with a rear naked choke. Solid victory, man. Solid victory. But like he didn't look good. He just capitalizes and jumps on his neck. The Rong Zhu fight, again, he's the underdog in the Rong Zhu fight, plus 200 underdog to Rong Zhu. The first round, I thought he won. It's close. Like he's landing more strikes, but Rong Zhu's landing the bigger strikes. And to be honest, actually, yeah, I think Rong Zhu probably won the first, but very close, very competitive. The second round is still close and competitive, and then he lands like the nastiest elbow you've ever seen. Instantly, Rong Zhu starts telling the ref, eye poke, because he cannot see, and his eye instantly swells shut, and they stop it immediately because he's basically growing a second head. I don't want to say lucky. Those are quality victories, but he went from a can't really hack it on the regional scene to I think punching above his weight in the UFC. I don't think he's all that good. His striking, it's very much one and done. One jab, one right hand. One jab, one right hand. Doesn't throw in combination. Doesn't really move his feet. Doesn't have high output. His wrestling, it's always a double leg. He'll shoot into the hips, pick you up, put you down. It worked 3 times against Lontop, but Lontop just got up all 3 times. Against Rong Zhu, he had to rely on, busting him up and hurting him, but I don't think he's a proficient grappler. I don't think he's a proficient striker. I don't think there's really all that much to his game. He trains out of a small gym. He's 30 years old. Not a high end prospect, in my opinion, but two quality victories in the UFC you can't take away from him. Because Rong Zhu ended up going there and just mauling Cody Steele in a very, very excellent performance, it aged well. And so as a result, he's now even money against a guy in Jai Herbert that's just got way more experience. Again, who's beating Jai Herbert? Francisco Trinaldo, who he knocked down, but then got up and kicked his ass. Ilia Topuria, who he knocked down, but then he got up and he kicked his ass. Haneto Moicano, these guys are all like high-end fighters. Faraz Ayam, I think the world of them. The Ludovic Klein draw shouldn't have been a draw. He lost a point in the third round for a low blow, but outside of that, it's like he should have absolutely won that fight. He's excellent boxing. When you look at his size,
He's long and he uses his reach quite well.
he's 6'1" with a 77-inch reach, and yes, like Paul said, is that he uses it extremely well. What I really liked in his last fight against Rolando Bedoya is that his technical boxing, he's not overextending himself with kicks. The Topuria fight, it's a high kick that catches Topuria, but it's like he's throwing at just a ton of these wild kicks. Now he's just really setting up the jab, baiting you in, using the right hand, using his footwork, moves very, very well, and this is a big cage performing at technically at home in front of his people. So I think that's going to be a small advantage in its own. And Padilla's going to find it difficult to take him down. Padilla's going to find it difficult to hold him down. But beyond that, Padilla's little one and done striking, not extending himself, not using his own jab, not really using an educated low kick game. I think he's just going to be mostly a sitting target for Jai Herbert that is capable of knocking out anybody. I mean, he hurt Trinaldo and Topuria. The guy obviously cracks, but at the same time, he's been fighting a lot smarter. So I think it's probably more of a decision where he works behind his jab, moves his feet, causes Padilla to come towards him, stuffs some takedowns here and there. I call it sprawl and brawl, but I just don't think he's going to brawl. I think he's just going to use a precise, jab, low kick, move my feet, keep away from this guy, matador him a bit, stuff takedowns when need be. In the clinch, I'm so much taller than him, hurt him to the body with some knees, chop him with some elbows, but just mind your P's and Q's overall. And if Jai Herbert does that, I think he gets the job done. So I'm going to take Herbert to get the win.
Yeah, this fight kind of reminds me of, at least in terms of like how the market's moving. It reminds me of the Elijah Smith versus what was
Vince
the
Morales.
Vince Morales not that long ago, where it's just like it's become like the popular dog shot, and then now the dog is starting to become the favorite. Yeah, it opened up at plus 150 about 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 3 weeks ago. And it hung out there not for too long, but it hung out plus 110. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not moving that many points or anything like that. But I don't know. I think the opener probably wasn't actually all that far off. Padilla's had a couple good fights since he came into the UFC, but I think Jai's hung in there pretty well against some really like Fair Siam is just like putting on a wrestling clinic against a lot of guys recently, and like against him, 1 for 5 on the takedown. So it's like if the idea here is that you know that Padilla is going to come in and just absolutely dominate in those ranges, I'm not so sure. He only has a 3 inch reach advantage, but he used, as I said, when like in the middle of your breakdowns, like he uses that range and he uses those long range weapons really well. Yeah, Nathaniel Moicano in 2021 took him down 5 times and then got a rear naked choke um in the second round. That means that one, Jai got back up multiple times. Two, probably fended off some other submission attempts and hung out there on the ground with a guy with the grappling skill of Renato Moicano. So it's like, yeah, all of these things kind of, and yeah, he's been knocked out by Topuria and Francisco Trinaldo. One, Grandpa T
Yeah.
missed that guy every single day. Where is Grandpa T? I mean, how had the GF they're selling they're signing every old guy on the face of the planet. Maybe they already did sign Grandpa T, but if he's not on the GFL roster, like what are you even doing with this
I mean, the
organization?
GFL roster
Matsurin
is not
Duba to the
real.
moon.
But yeah,
What
yeah. I said it's not real. None of those guys are ever gonna fight. It's just like a fake promotion. But anyways,
you don't think that's
yeah.
gonna happen?
No, I really don't. I'm gonna make a video about it
Mhm.
because I got too many points. The whole thing's fake. Like even the draft. The draft is fake. It's a fake draft. None of those people got drafted. That guy, the guy Darren Owen that runs it, he just appointed the fighters to those teams and then called it a draft. Well, how do you know that? The California team, is it a coincidence that every single team alpha male fighter, all 11 of them got drafted, went to the team California? Did not one other team wanted one of the alpha male guys? No, because they're in
Fair
California, so they're
point.
on Team California. All the New
I
York
didn't even
fighters
look that
are in New York.
closely, to be honest.
The team from Dubai has all the Russian fighters. You mean to tell me that not one other fighter, the principle of the tournament is to win, not one other team wanted to draft one of the Russian guys and they're trying to win? Brazil got all the Brazilian guys? What are you
Yeah,
talking
the
about? It's
Dubai team looks scary good. Like that was
because he's
my
got the
pick to win.
Russian guys. Oh yeah, the Russians and the high-profile UFC veterans that the other places couldn't pay. Who's gonna pay Tyron Woodley $1 million to fight, which is his contract? Who's gonna give him that? Guys in Dubai, but not somebody in LA or somebody in Florida or whatever the case may be. There's not even a Florida team. But what I'm saying is that it's absolutely fixed 100%. They're trying to get Netflix or one of the big Amazon Prime streaming platforms to pick them up. Those places were like, no, not unless you can show us all this stuff. So they're trying to show all this stuff. Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. None of it exists. But if you can get someone with actual money to come in and say, wow, this smoke and mirrors looks good, here's some money, then boom, instantly you can actually have these events. But they don't have any money to have these events without that. And oh, I can't say it because we're on TV. Who in their right mind is going to get behind that? Francisco Trinaldo, badass. But yeah, in that point, he drops Trinaldo, then he gets overexcited, and he goes in and he gets knocked out. And he drops Ilia Topuria, and he gets overexcited, he gets brawling, and he gets knocked out. Now he's getting away from that, and I feel like that's what's going to make Jai Herbert successful, is when he hurts these guys, instead of getting antsy and going in, because he learned. Trinaldo taught him a lesson, Topuria teaches him a lesson. He's fighting a little smarter, and although it's not as
Hmm.
exciting, it's better if you're going to bet on it. So I'm here for it this week.
Yep. And 2 takedowns against Rolando Bedoya last time out means that he's added other wrinkles to his game parts of his game that you really didn't expect to see. So yeah, I think the market's gone too far. Um, I think Jai at like minus 150 was probably where this market should have been. But we will find
I
out
agree.
on Saturday, as we always say. We got Lonier Kavanagh taking on Felipe dos Santos, minus 303 for Kavanagh, plus 250 for Felipe. Um, that the last fight for Lonier was like, and I bet the underdog because the number was super or pretty wide. and I liked what I saw from Jose Ochoa on tape.
Love.
Um, I went back and watched, and like the one thing that really annoyed me was that Ochoa's corner told him like after round two, they basically told him that like he was up 2 rounds, which seemed very, very strange because like the rounds were all very close and seemed kind of wild to do that. But that's neither here nor there. Um, I'd like Lonier a lot more here if he just showed, a little wrestling, just a little bit of wrestling, because like it is incredibly clear the path to victory, the path of least resistance. Felipe dos Santos turned Andre Lima into a wrestler because like once he got in on those hips, got top control, it's just like, oh, I can just hold him here. This is great.
That was real
Um,
easy.
it's so comfy. It's
Yeah.
so comfy in this guard. I mean, Felipe throws up some submission attempts. There's been a bunch of action actually this week. Like Lonier was as low as minus 380, and then now basically it's went back to its opening number at minus 300 at this point. Lonier does a really good job of hitting and not getting hit. The last fight against Ochoa, maybe not his best performance, but I rated Ochoa. I thought he was actually pretty decent, to be perfectly honest. He shows that he's got absolute pop in his hands in the Antoine Ho fight, who's fighting on the LFA card this weekend, which we'll be
Love him.
breaking.
Minus 1500,
Yeah,
but I
he's
love
minus
that guy. That guy's
1500.
solid.
Yeah, you loved him going into that fight on Contender Series
I
too,
did. I
and
did.
Loney showed up. Loney showed up. I mean, Loney's super talented. Yeah, he hits, doesn't get hit. There's really not much to dislike about his game. So I mean, hopefully watch a little bit of game. Hopefully he's got a bit of a ground game that he's been working on, and he can maybe mix it. My only concern is like if it just turns into a kickboxing match, maybe it's way too close for comfort at minus 300. But if he's got a little extra gear, if he can mix in a takedown late in a round to kind of secure things, like the takedowns will be there. Until Felipe Silva or this Dos Santos starts stuffing takedowns, I'm going to assume that everybody can take him down. Lonier for me. What about you?
Yeah, we assume everyone can take him down, but Lonier's got to take him down. I mean, if you don't, you're definitely taking the path of most resistance, which is striking with this guy, which is not necessarily something you want to do. When I look at Lonier Kavanagh, all of his amateur losses are at 135. Him at 125, this guy's the real deal. His footwork is excellent. As Paul mentioned, very high striking defense, very, very hard to hit. I think he's got like 67% striking defense, sorry, in the UFC, and that's very, very high for everything he does well, beautiful combinations, very, very fast, powerful. We don't know about his wrestling, but beyond that, it's like I don't know if he's got that dog in him. Like I don't know if it's, hey, there's blood everywhere, it's 1-1. I really need this last 60 seconds. I don't know if he pulls his puts his foot on the pedal. Against Ochoa, that was really all Ochoa had. Guy's Peruvian. And so his cardio is real, real good. And his durability is real good. There's been a bunch of these Rolando Bedoya or James Lawntop, not good, don't win fights in the UFC, but they don't get knocked out and they don't get tired. So Ochoa presented him a lot of problems. The longer that fight went, he just looked real uncomfortable. As you mentioned, all the rounds are close, and Ochoa's corner is telling him, you're up 2 rounds. But Lonier Kavanagh's not switching gears. He's not going into a second gear. He's not landing something. He's not trying something different. He's very much just going through the motions. Now, why he's not good at 135? Because he's 5'4". And so when presented against Ochoa, who's only like 5'7", the much taller opponent just kind of keeps him at bay, kind of throws him off. Felipe dos Santos is also 5'7". He also fights like a tall fighter for 125, so may present with him a lot of problems. But I think the difference is Ochoa's a southpaw and Felipe dos Santos stands orthodox, and you can really see Lonier Kavanagh struggling to get in on the taller man from the southpaw stance in that fight with Ochoa. Here he may have a little more success. You got multiple problems here though, right? One, you got a flyweight fight where one guy's a minus 300 favorite. You don't want to be getting into that market, man. It's 125. Anything can
Hmm.
happen. Anybody can beat anybody. And there's so much going on that for the judges, it's like hard to remember everything that's going on. For heavyweights, it's like, yeah, there was a big right hand and a takedown. I bet you this guy won. At flyweight, it's like there was three takedowns in that round and a spinning back kick and a huge uppercut. Like it's hard to process. So minus 300 at flyweight in itself is a little bit difficult. The next thing is that we don't know if Kavanagh is going to shoot. He's got one career win by submission. He's not really shown a propensity to go to his grappling. And when you watch Felipe dos Santos, he looks vastly out of place against Andrey Lima, taken down and controlled like nothing. Against Victor Altamirano, taken down 9 times. We absolutely PU. But against
And like
Manel Kaw,
nobody saw the Altamirano wrestling clinic coming, right?
no,
Like
and
that was the one
I
that it's
had
just
money
like,
on Felipe dos Santos, and when they announced him as the winner, it was like, oh my, and I think it was in Mexico too. It was like,
yeah,
oh my God, there's a God. No one saw that coming, but yeah, his gifts, and I say this all the time, his gifts where he's tall and he's rangy and he's a good striker is also when you can get on his hips, he's got a high center of gravity, he's easy to take down, and he doesn't got a good get up game. Against Altamirano, he kept getting up, kept getting taken down. Against Lima, when he got taken down, there was no get ups. Kavanagh is not really shown to be an offensive grappler. I think he's probably going to do what he always does, which has been working for him, which is use that speed and use those big punches. And the last guy that primarily had a striking match with Felipe dos Santos
was
was Manel
caught.
Kape. And feel free to watch that one back for no other reason than what an excellent fight, man. Just a
Yeah.
really, really, really good fight where this kid wins the first round. Second and the third round, they're both close. But there's a minute left. There's 30 seconds left. And like he's slinging right. He's tired. He's on short notice, replacing Kai Kara France, taking on a guy that's likely going to get the next title fight at 125. And he gives them absolutely everything he can handle. So he's still young. He's actually a year younger than Kavanagh. This is a very dangerous fight for minus 300 at 125. So I really like Kavanagh. I feel like I'm gonna pick him here, but he's not, can't be on the top two lines, man. Like I got a bad gut feeling. And in fact, we're gonna watch the weigh-in show, and I could switch that. I could grow some cojones over 90 something and switch that. But buyer beware that the pie shitter this week could in fact be Lonier Kavanagh. And he's so good looking. You're not gonna think about it. You're just gonna put money on him. Then you're gonna watch it and be like, that's right, it's a fist fight, not a modeling contest. I was wrong, and I just don't want to go down that road. So let's just get it right the first time. Hopefully the right man wins. I'm hoping it's Kavanaugh, but I got a sinking feeling that this thing's way closer. If not, Dos Santos springs an upset.
So we go from Lonier Kavanagh, who Cody thinks is handsome,
Very
to this
handsome.
to this next one. We got Marcin Tybura
Not so
taking on
handsome.
Mick Parkin.
Also not handsome.
And I mean, I'm ugly, so I'm allowed to make fun. These are not the most pretty guys on the UFC
Can
roster.
I say real quick, because I've
That's
taken
like
flack for this in the
Has
past.
Mick Parkin's skin ever seen a ray of sunshine? Like what?
He's yeah, he's British, so I mean it rains there a lot. But yeah, people are always like, "Oh man, wait, I can't believe he said that." If you're gonna say, "Yeah, this chick's good looking," this female fighter is really good looking, then you should be able to say the male fighter is good looking. Well,
Equal opportunity.
yeah,
Yep.
it's even. And listen, I'm only into one of those, and as women. However, and whatever you're into really doesn't matter. Thing is that you can respect, like game respects game. If I'm going to a bar with Lonier Kavanagh, I'm probably getting second or third string pickings. If I'm going to the bar with Marcin Tybura, to be honest, he's a big guy, and a lot of chicks are into that.
Yeah.
Mick Parkin, though, I think I got him beat. I think I got him beat. I could be wrong. I could be fooling myself here, Paul. Feel like I got Mick Parkin beat. He's just got no neck. He's built like a bowling ball.
Mick's 10-0. The market seems to like Mick to continue and to get to 11-0. He's been one of the bigger movers this week. Opened at plus 160, which was probably a bit of a wild number. And then yeah, it's dropped down to a pick 'em, and then now he's become the favorite. He's had a decent, like, I mean, it's heavyweight, right? None of these guys are typically all that well or all that good. I kind of just look at this as just like, I mean, against Brzeski, who's like he got the first round finish against Brzeski. But and yeah, that was probably his best performance. But he just had, Muhammad Usman 72 to 57. Machado, he was able to utilize his wrestling, but got outstruck 39 to 76. Jamal Pokes, he dusted Jamal Pokes, but it's like he's been fighting some of the lowest, bottom of the barrel heavyweights in the division. Now he's stepping up to take on Marcin Tybura. And like I know that Mick Parkin trains with Tom Aspinall all the time. So maybe that's part of it, is that people are going like, well, if he's rolling with Aspinall, he's going to be ready for like whatever submission, takedown, everything like that attempts. That's not always entirely true. We see people who train with certain I mean, we had Bryce Mitchell and AJ Cunningham.
Yeah.
Um,
I
was that
know.
last
Oh
week? There's so
God.
many fights I get a little bit confused now. And yeah, it's just like, well, it looks like AJ Cunningham never stuffs a takedown from Bryce Mitchell in practice. Like I've never seen them in practice, but from watching all his fights at this level, I would not wager that he does very well when they're training together. So yeah, a lot of people kind of like use that. Oh, he's training with this guy, and it's just like, is he though? Like unless you see like actual extended footage of these guys. I saw like Mick Parkin and Aspinall on Mick's Instagram, and it was like slow motion and probably like a 4 second clip. They weren't showing you really anything. So it's like,
I know a guy that
okay, okay,
he trains with
interesting.
Francis Ngannou, and he's like 6'2", and he fights at 185. And it's like, well, I was like, what do you mean trains? And he's got the footage, and he's got cool pictures. And it's basically like he went to Vegas for a month, and there's a class. There's like 50 people in the class, and it'll be like pair up with somebody, switch partners, switch partners, switch partners, and they'll be like, okay, we're practicing like a jab, cross, hook. You're not going full steam. You're not, sparring hard. Mick Parkin is a legitimate training partner of Aspinall, but all the same is like you have 20 training partners. You have tons of guys that you work with. Doesn't mean every single guy is good as a result. This fight is exactly like the Jan Blachowicz fight, is that Jan could win this fight with his wrestling on the basis that we don't know if Ulberg can wrestle. We're assuming maybe he can wrestle, but it's a big assumption because the UFC's booked him against non-wrestlers. This is the exact same thing you're getting here in Mick Parkin. His last fight against Brzezinski never shot a takedown. Muhammad Usman, yeah, unlike his brother, not a wrestler, doesn't shoot any takedowns. Kyle Machado, not a wrestler, shoots two, doesn't get them. Jamal Pogue, someone got in
Machado,
Jamal
he
Pogue's.
got 3 takedowns. McParkin got 3 takedowns
I,
against Machado.
I'm saying Machado shot one takedown.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry, my bad. You're going through those stats.
Well, I'm,
Okay.
I'm going through his opponents. Brzezinski never tried to take him down. Usman never tried to take him down. Machado
Yeah.
never tried to take him down. Jamal Pogues is actually a decent enough takedown artist. I won't even call him an artist.
Oh for 1.
Yeah, and he only shot one. It's like someone got in his ear and was like, "Stop doing that thing you do where you take them down 5 to 7 times and hold them down." It's a weird fight, but that fight on Contender Series against Eduardo Neves, yeah, it's a couple years ago, but Neves gets two, and so when you watch that one back, they're the just god awful takedowns. He hikes the underhook and just they fall to the ground both times, same takedown. Yeah, he trains with Aspinall, but is it them doing jiu-jitsu or is it them wrestling? And how good's his wrestling? And can he keep this thing standing? Because Marcin Tybura, he's a lot slower than he used to be. And his chin, it's not terrible, but he shouldn't be taking punches the way he used to. There's a lot that maybe you don't like about him athletically. Every single time he wins the fight, because he springs a takedown on them in a fight. They don't see it coming. Jonathan Deniz, his last time out, getting beat standing, boom, takes him down, mauls him. Tai Tuivasa takes him down, mauls him. Blagoy Ivanov, a former Sambo world champion, he took him down. Alexander Romanov, that one he kind of just had to survive and wait for Romanov to tire out. Win
Yeah.
over Walt Harris, win over Greg Hardy. Both times he gets hurt standing, takes them down. This guy's very, very, very proficient when he gets on the ground. For a heavyweight, he's always had pretty decent cardio. He manages his gas tank quite well. But if he can take you down, lean on you, he moves to mount, causes you to carry his weight. Everybody just seems to gas against him. These Polish guys, they can fight into their 40s and just seemingly get better and better. Jan, I mean, he was fighter of the year when he was 38 years old. He won fighter of the year in 2020. Like crazy. Very much Tybura was mid. And then he went on a solid streak where he proved to be very, very serviceable. If he can do what Eduardo Neves did and just hike up an underhook and toss this guy to the ground, Mick Parkin's done. If Mick Parkin can move and, make this a striking affair, he throws more volume. And the British guy throwing more volume, doing slightly more damage at home will nick a decision. But do you want to leave it that close? Like, I don't know.
No, I'm
I'm gonna
back
take.
in
I
I'm back
think
in Marcin here.
I don't know. I
Um,
gotta make a pick, I guess, on the show, but I kind of been undecisive on it.
that's fair.
I'm
I just think that
gonna take Marcin Tybura.
yeah,
But
until I
I
see
don't
like
know.
really
Watch
defending
weigh-ins.
those takedowns work, and this will be the fight. This will be the fight that will find out whether it works or not.
You're
But like,
absolutely right.
there's no ways around it. This is a massive, massive step up in competition for Mick Parkin, who like when I've watched him, I've been like, okay, he's very like for heavyweight, he's super, super young, born 1995. So he's what, 29 years old? Absolute baby. Like he can lose to Marcin Tybura. He's still got, 8 to 10 years of of fighting in the heavyweight division, um, ahead of him. So it's like it wouldn't be the biggest roadblock. But yeah, coming off of
Right.
wins over Brzezinski, Muhammad Usman, Kyle Machado, Jamal
It,
Pogues. It's like now you're stepping into like the actual the gatekeepers of the top 15 type of styles with the Marcin Tybura.
Usman actually throws his hands up after the fight. He thinks he won,
Yeah,
right? So if you're fighting in competitive-ish fights where Mama Usman thinks he beat you, yeah, I don't think this is a walk in the park. But yeah, again, it's
it's
like
not a walk in the parkin.
it's not a walk in the parkin for old Mickey Parkin. Yeah, Marcin Tybura could again, him and Jan got to follow a similar game plan, but it's on the table for both of them.
Yep. All right, we got Christian Leroy Duncan taking on Andrey Pulyaev. Duncan, a minus 556 favorite over at Coolbet. Um, plus 420 for Pulyaev. Pulyaev was a big like a pretty sizable underdog over on Contender Series when he made his debut.
Like plus
Um,
200, I think, maybe 220.
let's see here. Pulyaev. Yeah, about 200. Well done, coach. Decent enough size favorite. On Contender Series, people thought that his opponent, had a bit of a wrestling pedigree, was going to be able to take him down, and like he kind of flipped the script on everybody. He was able to get a takedown. They went 1-1 in takedowns, but utilized his weapons pretty well from range. Um, he didn't look horrible. Um, They basically, yeah, he's a little bit taller. He's a little bit taller than CLD. They got basically equal reach. CLD's grappling, I feel like, is pretty exploitable. I mean, my struggle here is that like Christian Leroy Duncan, it's a massive step down in competition for him. They're trying to get a win for him, trying to get the kid, feeling in the groove again. Because like Gregory Rodriguez was basically able to take him down at will, control him, smack him around when they were on the mat. And then before that, knockout wins against Dushko, Tallulah, and Claudio Ribeiro. The Ribeiro fight, I will say, was like that was like the best performance I've seen from CLD, to be perfectly honest. And he lost to your boy Armin Petrosian. I don't know. The number did come down a little bit. I was looking like when I was like making my notes and stuff, it was like plus 500 Pulyaev for a second there. I was considering it for a second, but like I found a lot of times I bet too many of these dogs early in the week and like the faves keep growing, but this is gonna be a dog or pass fight for me. I think there's just question marks that we have about this Pulyaev guy. Creeping through his Instagram and stuff, he just definitely seems 100% committed to the game. It's like all training, hiking, all that type of stuff. I liked what I saw from his performance on Contender Series against like a wrestler. Um, and yeah, it's just a numbers thing. I'd struggle to get to CLD, but I imagine you're picking him.
CLD, yeah, I'm gonna take CLD. It's just like Andrey Pulyaev is just not my type of Russian. I think at first glance, it's like, oh, EV, oh, from Russia, oh, trains under an MMA legend from Russia, well known. Sign me up. And it's like, oh, it's Alexander Slovenko. It's like, so he's a striker. It's like, yep. And that's not my kind of Russian. Listen, he's 6'4" and he's southpaw, so he's gonna be tricky for anybody. In that he's very tall, He's got big old reach on him, and he does utilize his southpaw weaponry extremely effectively. Nice little body kick from that left southpaw stance, beautiful straight left down the middle. Against Liam Anderson, he does a good job of just kind of baiting him into those same two weapons and then not getting taken down once he's up against the cage. But physically in the clinch, he leaves a lot to be desired. Like Liam Anderson goes 1 for 5 on takedowns, but he gets 6 minutes and 7 seconds of control time up against the cage. Like he's easily able to just pummel an underhook and then press him up against the cage. At range, Liam Anderson has no striking. He's got his hands down. He's moving on a straight line and not moving his head. Like he's just there to get beat up. And beat up, he does end up getting. But the fight ends up going to decision. Pulyaev springs the upset. Dana gives him a contract. I don't think it really makes him any more ready for this. Christian Leroy Duncan, not my kind of guy. In that he comes in, he's a fake man's Wonderboy Thompson or Michael Venom Page, or just he's very bouncy. He's got excellent footwork. He moves well. He moves well, and then eventually he gets away from that and he becomes a little more flat-footed and wanting to engage. And then eventually he's not even trying to strike with them anymore. After the Petrosian fight, he's taken them down. Dennis Chulin, I thought it was a decent enough performance. Claudio Ribeiro was a decent enough performance, but he took him down. Against G-Rod, he himself got taken down. Now, Chulin, there's no takedowns. It's like, what do you mean he wrestled? Zero takedowns, 4 minutes and 51 seconds of control time up against the cage. That's a new wrinkle he added to his game in that fight. Ribeiro, he took him down. He's working this into his game. Then he runs into G-Rod that does it right back to him. So he can't get anything going there. But what I expect to see in this fight is he's a lot faster than Pulyaev, better athlete, better footwork. Pulyaev is going to, again, try to use those southpaw weapons, but I feel like CLD is going to be able to target that leg, move in and out of range, cause him to have to move forward, counter him, and then shoot for takedowns. If we get them, good. If we don't, he's just going to pin him up against the cage and hold him there. Use short little elbows inside the clinch, rough him up, back at range, make him get desperate, dance around the perimeter, pot shot, press him back into the cage. So I do feel like CLD fights a more effective game plan and gets in the win column. Doesn't hurt that he's at home. Doesn't hurt that if it's close, they hopefully give it in his favor. But I do feel like he has the skills to go out there and apply the proper game plan and get a win.
He's definitely like considerably faster, better movement.
Definitely better athlete, but 6'4", again, it's like you're a little stiff. And in the apex, when this short little American wrestler who's coming in like this, actually he wasn't even moving. He's just coming in straight. You can look good against those guys. Now you're taking on a guy that's got 5 fights in the UFC. He's fought not necessarily
Oh
the
yeah, no
greatest run
no
of guys,
doubt,
but
no
it's a
doubt that
lot. It's
CLD
a
is the
tough
better.
task.
It's definitely a tough task. It's definitely a tough task. You just know me. I'm rarely unless it's we do like all this regional stuff, and it's just like when I'm betting like minus like Shea Ingram was like minus
Minus 650.
500,
Yeah, minus 500.
minus 500, minus 650. He closed at
Orozco.
minus 1300. But it's just like he was fighting some Greek guy that they pulled in off the street on one day's notice. Um, it was free. It was never close. He actually let the guy just stand up for like the third round and just like was like, I'm gonna practice my striking because like I know I could just take you down and control you at will. But I want to work on these hands. Like you're not getting that in this type of fight typically. That's the difference between like the regional scene and the UFC these days. It's
Well,
definitely
we we
a
we
lot
we
more efficient.
we mentioned it with like the Orozco fight. He's minus 450. We're like, this guy should be a minus 1,000, but he ended up being 450, minus 500, and then whatever. He took
And
off
they
late.
shot
But
up to like minus 800 pretty late. Yeah.
and as deep as it got was minus 800. And we made a point of being like, these guys are fighting. They're big prospects. He wrestled in college, NAIA champion,
Hmm.
undefeated record, solid training camp, good looking prospect, good on the microphone, building this guy up, taking on just a journeyman just there to do a job. And it's minus 450. Whereas Mosasa last week in the UFC, he's a minus 900 favorite over a guy who's a BJJ black belt and a Taekwondo black belt and has fights in the UFC against top level guys. So fading those guys, they're fighting like real legit guys that were either the best fighter on their regional scene or beat some tough dude to get there. Whereas when you're targeting some of these regionals, it's like it's a 1-1 guy versus an 0-2 guy, let's say. But the 0-2 guy's independent fighter with no head coach who, took a bus to come down to the venue and missed it and is late and missed weight by 3 pounds. And it's like there's just a lot of shit that happens on the regionals you would never see in the UFC, and that kind of gives you a bit of an edge. But yeah, this next fight, Paul, I don't know that you can say there's an edge to be had.
Yeah. We got Shauna Bannon taking on the Puja Tomar or Tomar. Minus 179 for Bannon, plus 150 for Tomar. Do you have any hot takes on this fight? Because
No,
I
the only
really don't. I think
yeah,
it's going to
no,
be a
dude.
close technical, a close
Technical.
technical.
What are you
Girls are
talking
girls are going to bring it.
technical?
Kickboxing match. Who Bannon's going to win because she has more fans in the crowd. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, and like Tomar, luckily, it doesn't show too much of like wrestling, I suppose. But yeah, they probably both land like 80 significant strikes. And then if the judges are a little crooked, then Bannon gets a unanimous. If the judges are not crooked, there's a split decision prop to be had. I'm gonna probably play the split decision prop on this, Cody, because that's how I roll with these types of situations. It makes these close, competitive, some people say boring type of fights really enjoyable because you're like, oh crap, are we? It's a pretty nice sweat. If fight ends in split decision, it's like my new crack. Not that I was ever into crack, but like
We're new.
if I was, this would be it. But yeah, my bet will be Bannon Tomar fight ends in split decision when those numbers open up. Hopefully they're not like shorter than plus 300. You can't give shorter than plus 300 on that prop because that would just be egregious. But they may on this one. This could be one that they really actually do. But yeah, do you actually have a take? Because I really don't.
No, not really. Listen, even if I had to take it, who cares? Because the bottom line is that you got Shauna Bannon here, who's the favorite. She's coming off a split decision win over Alice Ardeline, right? To
Who
put
was
things into
yeah.
perspective, yeah, the worst fight at the UFC side in quite some time. But to put things into perspective, Shauna Bannon, she started training at 4 years old. Her father is a martial artist. He owns a gym in the UK. Both of her sisters are champion kickboxers. This is all she knows. Elise Ardeline, she was a Counter-Strike gamer who got real fat because she was sitting around playing Counter-Strike. So by her own account, not my words, went to the gym because I got fat playing Counter-Strike and took kickboxing to get back into shape. She holds her to a split decision, Paul. So imagine doing something your entire life. Your entire life. Someone picks it up as a hobby and almost beats you. And then before that, like her fight with Bruno Brazil was off, just awful. But she technically did better against Bruno Brazil than Molly McCann did, if there's some small victory to be had there. The bottom line is that, like Paul said, it's probably going to be close, competitive, could be a split decision. I definitely see it going to decision. Could be a split. But I'm going to take Shauna Bannon. I'll tell you why. Shauna Bannon, when she's moving forward, she's good. Nice little sidekick. Not good, but serviceable. Nice little sidekick. Nice little flip to a high kick. Switch stances. Southpaw orthodox. Sets up these rangy strikes. When you put her on the back foot, she's not nearly as good. If you can take her down, if you can muscle her up against the cage, or if you can just cause her to fight going backwards. If she ever gets a South American opponent, bet the South American opponent because they're going to kind of dog walk her, and that's where she's definitely susceptible to getting beat. Puya Tomar, meanwhile, that's not it. She's counter striker. She moves back almost entirely exclusively. She's a former Wushu Sanda medalist and competed at some tournaments. Her sister was a Wushu Sanda champion, so someone who's also been doing it for a while. But she trains at a Bali at a small little camp. She's 30 years old. She's a complete non-athlete. That fight with Rayana dos Santos, most people scored it for Ryan dos Santos, but Pumar ends up squeaking out a split decision in a very close fight. What I want to outline though is Ryan dos Santos is 5'2" with a 62-inch reach. She's tiny, so she's coming up short on all these punches. So even though Tomar's moving back the whole time, because her opponent is so short and has short arms, she's able to just kind of hit her at range and land some body kicks. Now she's getting Shauna Bannon that fights better moving forward, which Tomar's going to allow her to do, and is also 3 inches taller and 2 inches or 3 inches longer of reach and a better, faster kickboxer. And Bannon's not good, but she's got 2 fights in the UFC now, so you're going to start to see her develop a little bit. And she's 31, she's got a kid, she's got a life outside of fighting. Like there's no long-term upside. There's no high ceiling here. But in this one specific fight, I think Mama B can go out there and get the job done. So I'll take Shauna Bannon. I mean, it's so early in the card. I mean, if need be, I can move some things around and rebuild. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. But for a women's MMA fight, you should have nothing on. I will have some action for sure on Mama B, Shauna Bannon.
You should definitely have fight ends and split decision. That's how you attack this fight. Um, Moving on down, we got Nathan Fletcher taking on Caolan Loughran, minus 118 for Fletcher, plus 100 for Loughran. Another one of those super cage warriors fights. Cody, who you got here?
Yeah, again, could go either way. You got Nate Fletcher challenged for the Cage Warriors 135-pound title, ends up getting knocked out in the third round by Dominique Wooding. And it's so sad to watch, Paul, because the whole place is there for Nathan Fletcher. Like every time he lands a takedown, an entire wall, a sea of people get up, losing it. He's a huge fan favorite. They love Nathan Fletcher. And the third round, he tires. Like he shoots 25 takedowns in the first two rounds. By the third, he's tired, can't get the takedown, ends up getting caught with a beautiful uppercut and then a head kick that plants him over. That's his first loss. After that, he jumps into the Ultimate Fighter, up a weight class, right? So he's a natural 135er, challenges for Cage Warriors Gold at 135, goes on the Ultimate Fighter at 145. So when he fights Con Offley's not exactly all that good, but he is bigger and stronger than him. So Fletcher can't get none of his wrestling going. And he's not a good striker, Paul, like at all. He's not comfortable with his striking. He doesn't throw variety. It's very much a work in progress. Yeah, he's young. He's a full-time training partner of Paddy Pimblett. Yeah, he's improving, but he's not comfortable. He needs to take you down and out grapple you. Moving up one single weight class, he looked vastly out of place, can't take down Offley, loses that fight. Does end up making a UFC debut against that Zigomontis Ramoska, who's on that same season of The Ultimate Fighter, but ended up getting hurt. First round, he takes down Zamaskas. Zamaskas splits him open with an elbow. Like he's bleeding all over the place. Second round, he takes him down and again he gets the submission, but he seems very one-dimensional. I'm not sold on his wrestling. I do applaud the fact that he sticks to it. He'll shoot 25 takedowns if need be, but he's physically not that strong. He doesn't come from a wrestling base, so it's not like his technique is supreme, but if you're not going to have really good technique, you got to be able to outmuscle these guys in certain positions, and he doesn't seem to do that. When he's on his back, not that he's accepting position, but he'll shoot a takedown and end up on his back as a result because he kind of gets brick walled. You've seen it against Offley, you've seen it against Wooding. The longer he goes, he overexerts himself, he becomes ineffective. Caolan Loughran, he was the Cage Warriors champion. He physically did one at 135, then he jumps in the UFC. He comes into the UFC on short notice to fight Taylor Lapilus. And this guy's just had such a weird career here, Paul. His debut against Taylor Lapilus, he took him down twice and he had 6 minutes and 26 seconds of control time against Taylor Lapilus. Unbelievable, short notice. His next fight against Angel Pacheco, he does land a few takedowns, but he lands 140 significant strikes. Solid volume, solid cardio. And against Lapilus showed that he can wrestle a little bit. And then he draws Jake Hadley, who's a 25er moving up to 135, and he just looks so lost. He does not deal well with the jab. The jab is his biggest enemy. Taylor Lapilus is very mobile and has an excellent jab. Pacheco's not good, but is a big, tall guy with a decent enough jab. Jake Hadley, he's a decent technical boxer with a snappy little jab on him. Because Loughran's got a massive head. See the size of this guy's head, Paul? I don't know if you guys can
Like an
bring up the
orange on a
picture.
toothpick.
It might not do it justice in our little picture here, but this guy's got a head like a cinder block. And similar to Marvin Vittori, who's got not that big of a head, but a head like a cinder block. These guys don't go down, but he doesn't move his head. Constantly moves into the action. Gets hit, moves forward, gets hit, moves forward, gets hit. I don't like that he's not evading, he's not slipping, he's not countering off of stuff. He's just very much there to get hit. But the jab is what's eating him up, taking his lunch money over and over again. Fletcher doesn't have that. Fletcher's going to shoot a takedown, and he's going to run into this tree stump of a man who's very physically strong. If he doesn't take him down, there's a striking advantage here for Loughran. If Loughran can offensively shoot his own takedowns, he'll throw Fletcher to the ground, set up shop on top, and just avoid submission attempts. There's no neck on him. He's not giving you up his little arm. He's just going to ground and pound you, and that's going to be it. If he does get taken down, I don't think he gets taken down and stapled to the mat. I think he gets taken down, and just like Dominic Wooding, he works his way back up. Especially if you're up against the cage, these guys work up all the time against Fletcher. He needs to take you down in the open space. In order to do that, you got to take the guy down, nice takedown. And he doesn't really have the wrestling to do so. He wants you up against the cage so he can push and pull and scrape you off to get to the ground, but then you just build a base and get back up again. So he's problematic, man. He absolutely is. And I get Molly McCann's on the card. I get there's a hype for the gym. I get Patty's got a big fight booked and, they're promoting these guys. He got his spot on the Ultimate Fighter because of that, and he just showed that he wasn't that good. On the Cage Warriors scene, he fought for a title. He just proved he wasn't that good. This should be another one of those fights. I'm not expecting much out of him. I'm really not. But Loughran's let me down against Hadley, notably. I went big on him against Hadley. Awful.
Yeah.
Just awful. So that taste is still in my mouth. I've been burned before. I'm not running to the bank to put a bunch of money on this guy, but I will have some money on this guy, and he is my pick.
Yeah, and I at this exact point in the week, I feel like I kind of missed. I was gonna bet Loughran. He was well into the plus monies like 4 or 5 days ago. Um, yeah, that's about a week ago. He was like plus 160-ish, and then the money's just piled in on him all week. Um, but yeah, I was on him against Hadley as well, and watching that fight left a poor taste in my mouth.
Man.
When you talk about like the, Nathan Fletcher training at that gym, they got Riley on the way now.
Oh, you
Nathan
want to know a
Flet
funny one
Nathan
too?
Fletcher's old news,
I
Cody.
know. So I'm watching Ultimate Fighter, right? And then they're at the gym and he goes over to Patty Pimblett and he's like, Patty, like say something for the camera." And Patty just like rolls his eyes like this kid again. And he's like, "Mate, I already said everything. They asked me who I think the top guys that are the next up and comers. Nathan Fletcher's always at the top of my list. Good kid, blah blah blah." And it's like how much do you think about him? Because Khan awfully just kicked his ass, and he's 0-2 in the UFC now. So there are levels to this, and Fletcher seems like a good. You see it all the time in boxing. Good European level guy. How does he do internationally? Doesn't fight internationally. He'd get mopped up, but very solid European level. This card,
Hmm.
as we talked about, 7 Cage Warriors champions. They're the ones that are the best Europeans that are going to go on and be top level UFC fighter. Michael Bisping was a Cage Warriors champion, ends up winning a UFC title. Dan Hardy was a Cage Warriors champion, ends up competing for a title. Paul Semtex Daly, they got a rich history. This guy did not win the title. He came up short against a 9-7 Dominic Wooding, who's still fighting on the Cage Warriors card every other week. So, if there are levels to it, I feel like Loughran took a round off Lapalus like this. He could make this look real easy, but I'm hoping he does because knowing my luck, it's gonna be a nail biter. I get screwed on a decision or something. But I've been getting the shitty decisions going in my favor lately, so hopefully it's a new trend or I'm getting the bounces. I like it.
Yeah, and like talking about you know, mediocre or like good European level fighters over on the Patreon. We'll be breaking down Cage Warriors, which is headlined by the Hardwick brothers, who frankly I would classify as good European level fighters. Because like Georgie Boy went over to Contender Series, fought El Sawadi, and just looked completely out of place. I think they're really good fighters, but and they do so well at this level. You watch their Cage Warriors tape, and then you watch him, fighting in Dana's garage at the Apex there, and it's just not the same guy whatsoever. But yeah, there's so many of those guys that we break down on a week to week basis. They'll have half decent records over there, but they come stateside. They come and fight, the best of other regional promotions and stuff, and you see that there's 100% levels to the game. But yeah, if you want more from us, I think we're breaking down like 5 cards like BYB, BKFC, LFA, Cage Warriors, and there's probably another one that I'm forgetting off the top of my head here.
One.
Breaking down so much stuff over there. Link is in the description. Finally, we got Guram Kutataladze taking on Kawe Fernandez, minus 400 for Guram, plus 320 for Kawe. Who we got?
I take Kawe Fernandez as the
Wow.
underdog. Yeah, I know. Gurum's a trap. It's the first fight of the card, so if you fall for the trap, you can still rebuild. You'd be fine. Seems very trappy to me, man. It really does. So just a couple things, right? Guram, what would you say the current price on him was?
Minus four. It was 400, minus 400. It's moving even bigger though.
I know, that's
It's
what
I
I'm
see it's
saying.
minus 450. So I imagine the market's gonna move there. When I made the boards, it was plus minus 400, but it'll follow these numbers, let me tell you.
So
They
Guram's an
tends to.
interesting case, man. He's got like 80 K1 kickboxing matches. So he's got 80 kickboxing matches, and then he's got like almost 500 grappling matches. So he's been training for a long time. At 33 years old and his size and those big weight cuts, I feel like his body's just falling apart on him. Comes to the UFC, he beats Mateusz Gamrot, and just what a fight, man. I mean, they go 15 hard minutes. This guy's on short notice, stuffs the majority of the takedowns, gets up when need be, lands some big strikes, scores a knockdown, wins a fight over a then 17-0 Gamrot. Huge. And I'm huge on Gamrot, especially then. Huge win for Guram. His very next fight, they book him against Don Madge, but he gets hurt, pulls out. Then they book him against Don Madge again, but he gets hurt and he pulls out. Then they give him Demir Ishmagulov. He gives him everything Ishmagulov can handle, Paul. What a fine fight. Very close, very competitive. Ishmagulov at the time was 23-1. Woo-hoo. But they both split decisions. They both could have gone in his favor. They both could have gone against him. It ends up being 1-1. That's just the closed nature of it. Then they book him against Thiago Moises, which he pulls out of due to injury. Then they book him against Jamie Malarkey, which he pulls out of due to injury. Then finally he fights Elvis Brenner. Now he's a minus 670 favorite over Elvis Brenner. Everybody expects him to walk in there and beat up Brenner. But he's had 2 fights in the UFC, and he's pulled out of 4 fights out of the UFC with injury. Again, the weight cuts are hurting him. He's not a young guy. They're compounding. Massive favorite. We all expect him to win. First round, he beats up Brenner, splits him open. Second round, he's slowing down. He's slowing down noticeably. And why that's problematic is he went 15 hard minutes with Gamrot. He went 15 hard minutes with Ishmagulov. He's gassed after a round and a half with Elvis Brenner as a near 7-1 favorite. In the third round, he's so tired, Brenner knocks him out with a short little right hand to the side of the head. Short little punch, wasn't some big rangy technique, wasn't some accumulation of damage. A short little right hand just causes him to not quit, but he just like slumps forward and the referee jumps in there and saves him. So when a guy loses as a near 7-1 favorite, I'm not interested in this -4, -500 price tag and getting behind him. He's also
Mhm.
pulled out of a bunch of fights. There's injury problems there. Cardio and durability was kind of his hallmarks. Big, strong, durable. If he's still just big and strong but slower and not durable, I don't love it. Then they draw him against Vucenic, Jordan Vucenic. Jordan Vucenic took that fight on a week's notice. Okay? Guram
Mhm.
Kudlitz is a 2-1 favorite, -230 favorite over Vucenic. Steps in the first round and gets zapped by a right hand that drops him on his ass, Paul. Yes, he gets up, ends up winning the second round in a very close round, wins the third round, gets the decision. But now you're seeing the durability start to fall apart a little bit. Again, I think he's battled injuries. I think he's a tad bit slower. I think that Vucenic fight, he relied on his wrestling, but at no other fight is he a wrestler. The guy's got 80 K1 matches. That's where he's comfortable. It's starting to fall apart for him. Now, this Caolan Fernandez, he's 30. Oh, he's from Nova União. Apparently, they call it New Union now. New União, or that means is that what it actually
That's
translates
what it
to?
always meant. That's
I
just
never
that's
knew
just
that.
that's just Portuguese to English.
The more you know.
Yeah.
This is what I like about this Caolan Fernandez, right? He's never fought a guy with a losing record his entire career. In fact, his last 4 fights, just right from the get-go, 4-2, 4-0, 6-1, 9-1, 9-7, 7-0, 6-0, 21-5, 16-7, 12-4. So again, he's willing to test himself. He's very, very fast. You're gonna see that he's got a speed advantage over Guram. Not only that, he's very heavy with his kick game. So he'll go body kicks, leg kicks, soften you up, snap to the head. I like what I see with this guy from his speed and his quickness, and I like the power that he puts behind these kicks. He's got quick little hands, he likes to counter punch, cardio seems solid. This guy's going to be okay. Now, UFC debut, he draws Mark Diakase. Prior to that, he had picked up a win over this Felipe Douglas. He's a plus 220 underdog to Felipe Douglas for LFA. And Douglas had won 4 in a row coming into that fight and has won 3 in a row since that fight. Douglas is good. He knocks him out 45 seconds in with a head kick. Then he makes his debut against Mark Diakase as an underdog. Diakase takes him down. The official number is
D1 Diakase took him down 3 times.
three times. Now, DKC had been taking guys down a lot more than that. Ends up being a split decision. He outstrikes DKC 23 to 13, but the three
Hmm.
takedowns end up being what gave them the other way. He's chewing up DKC's leg. He's hurting him. He's landing solid shots. He can't stuff the takedown. But this guy's a solid striker. Then his fight with Muhammad Yahya, it's like watching a guy hit a punching bag. So like, there's nothing to it. There's nothing to it.
No.
But he kicks the crap out of that punching bag. He lands 37 significant strikes and a knockdown in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. It's really not that impressive, but what is impressive is just the speed and the variety and the ability to go head, body, leg, head, body, leg. The leg off Yaya is chewed. It's chewed so bad that he's like, I can't take these leg kicks. That he grimaces and then hands down, chin up, jumps in, just kind of like, kill me already, man. I don't want to get kicked in the leg anymore. Against Guram, he's going to utilize leg kicks. He's going to use his footwork. He's going to use his speed advantage. He's going to cause Guram to come to him. He's going to counter him. I do figure that there probably is a bit of a strength advantage and a clinch advantage, maybe a grappling advantage for Guram. But Guram's going to tire himself the more he presses for it. This is a fight that I see Guram as a minus 180 favorite in, minus 190 favorite in, so
Yeah,
minus
sure.
400. I cannot get behind that. I like him. He my kind of guy. But in this scenario, it's a trap. I got Fernandez to spring the upset. Brazilians are, if there's anybody that's going to spring an upset, it's these Brazilian guys that you underestimate, but he trains in a room with 100 kids from the favela that are looking to take his job every single day. And he's fighting good guys all the time. So at 30, he's not some young guy who's not fought anybody. He's fought decent regional show guys. He trains in one of used to be the number one gym in Brazil, but probably number two behind Fighting Nerds. He's getting quality reps. I like what I see out of his striking. If Andre Pedneras can put the proper game plan together, I like it. Last but not least, you go on Instagram, you go on social media, check Guram. He'd been traveling a little bit with Murad Davashvili and Ilia Topuria, but he's not training with them. A little bit with Murad in Vegas, but Ilia's more so just like photo op stuff or a small little training session here and there. But he's claiming on social media that he got the call for this fight like 3 weeks ago, less than 3 weeks ago. So he's always hurt. His cardio could be an issue now. Never used to be, but could be an issue now. If he's short notice and he's not 100%, don't bet him at minus 400. So we'll have to wait to see at the weigh-ins, but I got a feeling, again, it's more of a gut feeling that Kawe Fernandez pulls it off. I'm not going with the other one I had earlier. This one I will pull the trigger on.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Um,
Well, you like Guram and for good reason, but yeah, if
I
Brennan
liked him
can put him on his
historically, and I
ass,
think
it's
he's
like,
actually half decent.
yeah,
But yeah, like I mean, he's been in really close. Like anytime I've actually outside of the Gamrot fight, which he won, but maybe should have lost.
very close. Yeah.
They've all been really close, and he's turned into like Turbo Mega Chalk after being an underdog. I'm sure I bet him against Ismagulov. I think he was too big of a favor for me to do anything about it against Brenner. And
Thankfully.
I don't know if I was there for I don't think I did anything with the Vucenic because like they've kind of made him like too big of a favorite in multiple fights here that I avoided like the Turbo Mega Chuck. Um, I think he's pretty short against Vucenic. I think I was back on that. I can't even recall. There's so many fights. But yeah, long story short is yeah, he's not really a wrestler. Like D1 Diakese took him down 3 times, but it's like D1 Diakese was committed to that wrestling game
Oh yeah.
for a period of time, man. Never didn't start out that way, but it's like it ended that way. It's like he just really took a lot of guys down. Guram, like the Brenner fight, like Brenner got 2 takedowns to Guram's one. Brenner, I wouldn't really classify as some sort of standout wrestler by any stretch of the imagination. Dimensions of these guys are pretty much on point. So if it just turns into a kickboxing match and you're giving me plus 350, mark like I'll continue to watch the market. Maybe it gets to plus 400, but yeah, I'll take a shot with you on Cowboy Fernandez here to open up UFC London. We are just about out of time though. But before we go, hit him with that PRP code.
Yeah, okay. So this week, PRP action. Again, lots to pick from this week, but wouldn't it be nice to hit a UFC PRP? I think we're all due for it. We're gonna go with Leon Edwards, dog number one, Carlos Ulberg, Gunnar Nelson, Alexia Thainara, Jordan Vucenic, Nathaniel Wood, dog number two, Jai Herbert. Low near Kavanagh feels trappy to me, but I'll fall for that trap. I'll go with Marcin Tybura, dog number three, Christian Leroy Duncan, Shauna Bannon, Caolan Loughran, dog number four, and I won't fall for the Guram trap, so I'll go with Kawe Fernandez. So, listen, I got 4 or 5 underdogs, and then there's 2 or 3 more even money plays on the card as well. So there's tons of value. Just don't get caught with my hand in the cookie jar putting too many fighters on the parlay, Paul. Just got to keep it simple. We hit a 4-legger last week. I'd love to hit that again this week, but of course I'm swinging for a 13-legger because that's of course what we're all here for is the smoke. So yeah, we're gonna need bounces, of course, but like every other week, there's a lots to break down, lots to discuss. We'll kind of do our last final thoughts over on Friday for the weigh-in show, and outside of that, lock it in and hope for the best, Paul.
Hundo P, bro. Hundo P. And like you could take a little bit of this. You could mish and mash it with Cage Warriors 186, which takes place on Friday. Um
BKFC, there's two real
there's
good looking fights
BKFC,
there.
BYB. You've been crushing the bare knuckle
LFA.
boxing game.
I know,
I have
strangely
no idea
enough.
about any of that stuff. Some people have asked about it, and I'm just like, I don't know. That's Cody's territory, the bare knuckle boxing game. But and then there's an LFA card with some like half decent fights as well. Those are just the fights that have like odds at this present moment on a Wednesday. There could be like stuff that opens up for like Shudo Brazil, but I guess we'll find out. But if you're more
There's more than
interested in
enough,
more,
yeah.
link is as we've said like 5 times over the course of the show. Link is in the description. Any final, nothing more? Nothing more? That is
No,
it for
that's
us.
it. Yeah, that's it.
That is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody Saptic and producer Jared, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.